You're listening to The Broken Meeple Show, a podcast that speaks passionately about board games for the benefit of those who play them. My name's Luke Hector, best known for the Broken Meeple YouTube channel, and I'm an everyday gamer just like you. And I'll be talking about reviews, top 10s, and just about anything that connects me to board games, as long as I have a tea or coffee in hand, that is. So grab a cup, relax, and enjoy. And remember, it's only a game. Hey everybody, welcome to episode 101. Yeah, we're past 100 now, so we can put that behind us. But yeah, that episode was pretty good to do an offline Q&A, and it won't be like a one-off thing. I'll do more Q&As, I think, during the year, just as a general thing. But it was just a good way to catch up with a bunch of questions and just do something a little different for the 100th episode, which did go on a little while, didn't it? Well, this one should be probably a shorter episode. It's a mix of general norm and also the Essen preview. So basically what I'm doing for the Essen preview thing is that I have got 2 videos recorded that I just need to edit, and they are for me going through my tabletop together tool as well as the Essen Spiel thumbs list briefly, and just saying, right, these are the games I'm on my maybe list, my like list, want list, need list, whatever, and some mentions of ones that I didn't put on my list. So that's those 2 videos are going to go up soon, and it's in this format, so me with the BGG screen in that. And it's essentially me going through all those games and saying my reasons why. It's quite long, so I've had to split it into 2 videos. It took me about 40 minutes to go through my maybe list, which was about 25 odd games. And then it took me about nearly an hour to do my like, need, wants, and honorable mentions. So, there was quite a decent amount of content. So it's going to be 2 separate videos. They'll release this week. It won't take me too long to finish the editing on them. So expect them at some point during the week, Monday to Friday span. I'll have to decide whether I release both on the same day or maybe one on one day and one the next. I guess it just depends how long it takes me to edit them. But yeah, they're coming this week, so look forward to that. Here, this is more about the convention in general. So like Essen Spiel, not talking about specific games. But otherwise, things could be better. I mean, health-wise, I'm not too bad, but there's a few things have happened in the last couple of weeks. Firstly, I rolled my ankle, which was not great. I was walking down the stairs and had stuff in my hand, tablet and everything, work stuff, and it's not the first time I've done this with my left foot, but I rolled my ankle quite badly, and in order to stop myself going head first down the stairs, I had to basically stumble down while carrying stuff, bashing into the wall, and stepping on a foot that was already in agony from rolling my ankle. So by the time I got down to the stairs, I pretty much collapsed into my lounge and swore profusely at the carpet for about 10 minutes while my foot was just in absolute agony. Like, it really was bad. I've had it looked at physio-wise. I've got some exercises to rehab in that, and I've had it x-rayed. There's no break. So my foot, I can put weight on it and walk on it, which is okay, but it's taken a long time to heal. This happened about 10 days ago, so like last week, Tuesday, and it still has pain now. The 5th metatarsal is sore and tender still. So I'm doing what I can, frozen peas and all that stuff, and exercises or whatever, and I can walk on it, but don't expect me to be running too much on it. I mean, I could jog lightly, but running I think would be bad. I mean, if I go to the gym, I have to restrict myself to bike and cross trainer as cardio now. I can't do any treadmill, but I can still do upper body stuff. My worry is how this is going to feel when it gets to Essen, because obviously Essen, you got to walk around miles and miles and miles of halls, and a dodgy foot is not going to help. So it just might mean I'm a little bit on the slower side while walking around Essen. But hopefully, I mean, Essen's not for another 2 weeks. So hopefully, it has healed to a point since the accident. But hopefully another 2 weeks with some exercises and just time will make it heal enough so that I won't notice it as much during the convention. But yeah, if you see me limping around or, being a bit slower on the walking, that's why. It's bit of a pain. On top of that, work's not been great either. It's one of the busiest months of the year, so I'm absolutely rammed. Big Brother's looking over my shoulder a lot. Yeah, I can't go into detail, but yeah, suffice to say, work is not going great for me either. So just a lot of stuff is kind of piling up, things of life, an injury, like dodgy work, an injury, being single, having to deal with typical house chores and other bits of life. It's like, and running a blog, it does whew, it is mounting up a little bit. But don't worry, I'll be fine. You know, I still got me my stress relief tools that I use. You know, that are all working nicely. It's just, as I say, work's the biggest one at the moment. If I can just get past that hurdle, which probably won't be for at least another month or two at this point, and it's probably going to get worse before it gets better. But once I can get past that stage, it'll be fine. But I've got good stuff to look forward to in the rest of the autumn. I mean, firstly, it has cooled down a lot. It's warm today, but warm is 20 degrees. I mean, it's still cool by comparison to most other days we've had in the summer. But we had a week where it was like 15 tops. It was heaven, you know, nice temperate climate. We are definitely into the cooler weather now, with one or two exceptions from like random heat waves we seem to be getting from like other overseas. But yeah, we're getting to the cooler weather now, which makes me feel better in general, because I hate the hot weather. So that's going to be nice as we go in. And we've got Southampton Shake Battle and Roll at the end of this month, then Essen, then HandyCon in October I'm going to, then GridCon in November for Paul Grogan's con, and then my 2-week Arctic cruise in December. So if I can just get through the annoyances like my foot and my job, then I can at least have a lot of good stuff to look forward to. And I'm gonna say the stuff I've been doing to de-stress has been good. I mean, I still see my massage therapist every month, you know, which was nice. Saw her again last week actually, because she had like an experimental treatment to do. So she sometimes says, does anybody want to help me just test this out? We'll do you a cheap rate. And I'm like, yeah, this week has been sucky, and then this day is even worse, and I feel really bummed out and depressed. And it's like, you know what? Yeah, let's do it. And that helped a lot. But you know, I listen to soft music when I go to bed. You know, I take a bath. You know, that's very good for de-stressing. Obviously, I go to the gym. I play games. Obviously, that helps me de-stress. So, you know, the blog takes my mind off stuff. But even lately, video games. I've completed most of the stuff I've done, like Jedi Survivor and Dead Space remake and stuff, which were both very good games. But I was running out of games to play other than my usual Valheim and Deep Rock Galactic stuff. And I decided for a laugh to indulge a friend of mine who's like, I'm like, why do we have to wait for you to hurry up and save on Stardew Valley before you come on to, Valheim and stuff? And I usually like cheerfully mock her for that. But I thought, you know what? I need a game. Everything's too expensive on Steam right now. This Stardew Valley is £10. Let's just play it. I played the board game. It wasn't that good. I mean, I get that there was the theme there, but it was way too long, way too many rules. It was too much for what is supposedly a simple game. But I thought, let's just play a bit of Stardew Valley. And at first, I was a bit frustrated with it, because I'm like, there's no tutorials. It's just thrown you in here, no guidance, and what am I supposed to be doing? Okay, I'll grow these things. Why do they take 1,000,000 years to grow? Okay, it's like, 10 days in-game to grow a radish or something. And it's like, well, for crying out loud, what am I going to do while I wait for the stupid radish to grow? And I was struggling for a bit and getting a little bit annoyed with that. Then I played it more and more and more. And yeah, I'm starting to see why people get addicted to this game. I started in the spring. It's now the autumn. I'm making half decent money. I've got 4 chickens. I've got 4 cows. You know that I'm trying to play. I haven't done a single bit of fishing because I hate fishing in games. Fishing in games is always so boring. So the guy's saying, "Have you done any fishing yet?" It's like, no, I don't want to fish. Screw you. But it's fun going around talking to the townsfolk. It's nice and pleasant, sort of foraging and cutting down trees in back neighbours' yards, which is quite funny. Going down into the mines to do combat, which is more my shtick, so I seem to be making a lot of money there. But I'm just trying to play a farm like an animal husbandry thing. So, I'm growing vegetables and fruit, but, to make some profit and do objectives. But for the most part, I'm more interested in building up a set of animals and doing that because they all look so cute. But yeah, that's a good de-stressor for me, honestly, because I can see the appeal of the game. You can kind of just lose yourself in a fictional world like that, where it's like, right, is there some big epic states? Is there mad action? I still play Battlefield 4 every now and again, but that can be very frustrating because you have to put up with the cheaters and the toxic community on the Battlefield games. But I still like a good shoot 'em up every now and again. And of course, Deep Rock Galactic is nice and mellow. But yeah, sometimes you just want to lose yourself in some simulator. I mean, I like the simulator games. I played Gas Station Simulator a while back. Which was like literally running an American gas station, and you build it up and get like food and sell it and do up your place and paint it and stuff. And it's just like, this is actually kind of relaxing in a way. It's just nice to just lose yourself in this. And Stardew Valley is giving me that same kind of vibe. But, the only thing on my mind when I'm playing that game is, how long are these melons going to grow? Can I milk the cows today? Is this chicken now grown up so it can lay eggs? Do I fancy making some mayonnaise? What does the mayor want with me now? So let's go into the mice. Yeah, you're worried about little simple things, and it takes your mind off other big stuff in life. So it is a good way of escapism. So yeah, I'm kind of enjoying that side of things. But yeah, the channel itself, fine. Nearly at 24,200. We're nearly there, just 6 more. A lot of content in the last couple of weeks. We've got mostly beyond the base game stuff, actually. The Deep Rock Galactic expansions, done those. A big review on Mass Effect, the new board game. A preview. I know I don't do many previews, but this is literally for the expansion to Lands of Galzier, and it's pretty much like more of the same stuff, so it's not like that's a hard one to preview. River of Gold, I was hoping to get on that before the Dice Tower did, but nope, Dice Tower beat me to it by a couple of days, but yeah, I've done a review of that, and that seems to be doing pretty well, as does the Mass Effect one, actually, which is quite good. The Beyond the Base Game ones never do as well, but that's just kind of normal. And I've just recently done the Ticket to Ride Iberia and South Korea maps. And I just want to say right now, I apologize for my brain fart moment. I made a stupid comment in the video as a kind of slip of the tongue or something where, I see like a lot of games do Iberia, and I normally expected to say Spain because for whatever reason, I brain farted and forgot that Portugal exists. So, I mentioned in the video and I was looking at the map going, why has it always got to be Iberia? Why can't it be Spain? Forgetting entirely that Portugal exists right next door to the left of Spain, and it is its own country, and it is part of Iberia. Sorry, my bad. I'm normally alright on geography. I don't like history, but I'm normally alright on the geography, but for some reason, I was in the zone, and I just brain farted. So, yeah, my bad. I can't apologize enough to the Portuguese. I do know you are a country, and I would still like to visit if you'll have me now after that comment. But yeah, my bad. So, sorry about that. Otherwise, yeah, decent amount of content and more to come. I don't think there's much in the pipeline. I do have a couple of speed reviews on the way. Temple Code and Castle Combo. 2 filler games that I've got to review. I don't think there's any big reviews I need to do. I did want to do a best and worst of Vital Lacerda at some point. Ironic, given that Portuguese and I just made that cock up about Iberia, but needs must. And obviously the Essen video reviews are coming out soon. So yeah, there's some good stuff on the way, and hopefully you will enjoy it. A little swig. Right, now the other problem I need to mention though is there's a bit of a situation with this podcast in general. There could be an issue going forward in the long term. I use StreamYard as a platform to do all these streams and that. So this enables me to work from the browser. It enables me to do all these things like, zoom in screen, as you can see here, do all this stuff. It enables me to, put like little banners on the screen so I can put like top 10, things like that, top 10 banner like so. I can do little top 10 intros, the starting soon. I can put up overlays and stuff. So it allows me to do little quirky things like that. But there's a problem. StreamYard is not the cheapest thing in the world, and recently they've shot themselves in the foot by announcing some new revisions to their pricing plans, and their pricing plans pretty much don't give you any new features but have doubled the cost. Like, I was already paying something like in the region of about $30-something a month to do StreamYard, and this is literally just for a 2-week podcast and the occasional live stream. Like, I don't think I was getting a lot of value out of it, but it was convenient and user friendly. The problem is it's now going to double in price. If I want the same features as I did before, it's going to cost me like in the region of like $70 to $80 a month. And I'm sorry, I just can't afford that. The Patreons allow me to, keep a lot of these things like Adobe Suite and, StreamYard and that going so this channel can run. That is too much. I can't afford to run StreamYard at that cost. So I'm probably going to have to ditch the StreamYard platform. Which then means, what can I do about this? The podcast, because this is how I do it. I do it so it can be a video and an audio. If I do an audio only, that means I've got to just basically sit down here and talk at a black screen in front of this microphone, which doesn't really work for me. So I've got basically 2 options. One, to stop the podcast and the live stream stuff and just basically abandon the whole platform thing, which seems a bit nasty. I don't think people are going to be too keen on that. or find an alternate platform. Now, I have tried stuff like OBS to do live streams and that in the past, but OBS is so user unfriendly. I can't get it to work right for me, and it just seems like way too much hassle. All right, so I'm just not comfortable with OBS. But there is one that I am looking at called Restream, Restream.io, and it looks to be a comparable price to what StreamYard is now. So, no more expensive, maybe even slightly cheaper. And it looks like it's got enough of the features, maybe even some more features than StreamYard, because StreamYard is a bit down on features, I admit. But it looks like it's a similar platform, so can run it from the browser, can do screen sharing and overlays. It will mean that I'm going to have to spend some time redesigning stuff, so maybe I might have to delay the podcast for a bit. Maybe I might have to take a month off just to, get stuff ready. But I'm going to look into that platform soon and see if that's a good alternative, and then carry on if it is, because I've only got till about mid-November before I get recharged for another year. So, my current pricing plan works up until then, but if they don't do a 180 on this by mid-November, I'm going to have to ditch the platform one way or the other. So we'll have to see. If I can get another platform that works from a web browser to do what this does, simple, user-friendly, allow for live streams and all that, then cool. Restream might be the answer. But OBS is not an answer. That is not one that I'm interested in doing. OBS is great if you're going to do, live stream, Paul Grogan stuff like, overhead cameras, multiple cameras, and, playthroughs and stuff like that. But it is just way too fiddly and user unfriendly for just a simple live stream browser podcasting. I need something that I can control on the fly a lot easier, and OBS just does not do it for me. So yeah, a bit of a forewarning there. But yeah, it was not. Add that to the level of things I got to deal with at the moment. It's kind of piling up a bit. Right, okay, let's move on to a game I want to talk about, because I literally just played this yesterday. And I had doubts when I was playing it, mainly because the setup, the storage, and the rulebook for this were pretty much on the regions of garbage. The rulebook, I suppose, has some merit to it, but for the most part, the rulebook lays things out in weird ways, and we were constantly rules checking. I'm talking about The Witcher, the old world. So this is the sort of big game from CD Projekt Red, and I think who's the other person that was involved? There was like loads of people that go on board. So basically, this was like a Kickstarter from a relatively small publisher or something to do a big adventure game, kind of like the Skyrim adventure game, which I said was barely average at best, for The Witcher. Now, I know nothing about The Witcher outside of about 1 or 2 seasons I watched of the Netflix series. That's all I know about The Witcher. I tried to play Witcher 3 as an RPG on the PC game, and I got bored because I just don't really have time to commit to like RPGs, and I'm trying to learn all this lore, and it's like, well, I know nothing about this Witcher in the background, so I feel like I'm just jumping into a sequel without having watched the base game, and I got no time to play Witcher 1 and Witcher 2. So it's a bit too much. And the Netflix series is a bit confusing anyway, because Series 2 was actually half decent. Series 1 was all over the shop. I mean, it just told the story in a weird fashion, constantly jumping and time jumping and that, without any indication as to what time frame we were in. It was really confusing. So, yeah, and they even killed off, well, actually, I'm not going to spoil, but, I just wasn't as massive a fan of the series. So, and like I say, it's now, being cancelled or taken over by Crimson Sword, if I can't remember, but either way, it's not exactly going to do much better now. So, I thought, all right, fine, let's just jump in. It's an adventure game. They wanted to play it. But then I found out that 2 of the people out of the 4 of us had only played it once before and couldn't remember most of the rules. So, we were pretty much learning this half from their memory and half from the rule book. Oh dear, that's never a good sign. It took practically 3/4 of an hour to an hour to set the thing up, because they had to, not only did they have to sort of reread most of the setup and get it done, but because the storage in this game is so bad, they've got game tray stuff, not the official game tray publisher, but like game trays, not that one, but vacuum form trays. But the thing is that they don't separate out expansions. It's just all thrown in there in a big pile. So you're trying to separate all these millions of expansions that this thing released with on a Kickstarter, and it just becomes an absolute nightmare. So this thing just took an eternity to get us going. And even then, we weren't exactly fully comfortable with the rules in general. And I mean, I'm going through all these pictures here, and all I can find is components. You know, not actual gameplay, just components. And this was basically like the Kickstarter itself. This is why I was turned off the Kickstarter, because when you go on the Kickstarter page, it spends so much time showing you the admittedly awesome miniatures, but it's like, well, for crying out loud, I want to play a good game. I'm not interested if your miniatures are fancy. And honestly, the miniatures for this game are a complete waste. They look fantastic, but you don't need them, because you literally have your 4-player characters in this game, and then you have 3 monsters out at a time, and they just stand there like statues, waiting for you to power up and kill them. They don't move around or anything. And that's it, 3 monsters. Wow, I'm so glad you spent all that money, people, on buying 2 trays worth of fantastic looking miniatures just so you could occasionally have one on the board doing nothing. I mean, I don't exactly support the Tainted Grail miniatures for that same reason. You know, I think Tainted Grail would have been better if they used artwork standees. I think you could get a version of it without miniatures that was artwork standees, and if so, I recommend you do, because the miniatures look fantastic in Tainted Grail, yes, but you really don't need them. You know, it's like, you've got your player character, but then you have like a guardian monster that occasionally wanders around. And in the second version, you've got bosses, which I guess having a miniature for the bosses is quite cool, but even they're over the top. So it's just like, you know, these games really do go nuts on miniatures, and they just don't need to. But the game is produced quite well for the most part. You know, not a lot of pictures on the cards themselves, except for the monsters, which is good artwork. Your player board is dual layered. It's got slots to put cards in underneath. So it's got some cool aspects there, and I suspect you probably could get metal coins and stuff. And the artwork in the game is admittedly pretty sweet, especially on the monsters. I think the monster artwork is, and the sort of cards you hold in your hand is pretty much fantastic. So what do you do in this game? Well, you basically just wander around the map, doing encounters a la Arkham Horror in a sense, collecting the odd quest, you know, go here and read another bit of story, and you level up your character, and you beat up so many monsters in order to get 4 trophies, and you win the game. Yeah, that's not a huge amount in there, is there? And that's kind of the thing with this game. This game promises like some sort of epic adventure game, and I seriously cannot find a good image of just general playthrough. I mean, it is all just people showing off painted models and stuff. I mean, for crying out loud, would it kill people to put some actual gameplay? And the filter on BGG is so bad because nobody actually lists their games, lists their images in any particular category. So you have to basically like pray and hope you find something of actual gameplay. I suppose that's not a bad one there. So the way it kind of works is you have cards that you play in combat, and you can also use them for movement. So the movement terrain icon is how you move. Easy. The combat requires you to play the card, and it will have damage and shields and stuff on that. And occasionally it'll have a color coming off it, like the ability, where if you play another card from your hand of that color, you can combo it and do more stuff. And you're trying to basically build up a chain of cards in one go to do as much as you can with the combos, because you really don't have long of these combats before you get killed by the monsters. They pretty much eat you alive in a few turns, and that's it. So you gotta work pretty quickly. That card system is pretty neat. I do like how that works. You can upgrade them as the game goes on. They represent your life points as well as the cool stuff you can do. And as you level up, you have to trash stuff out of your deck so that you get a bit more fatigued and other people can kind of catch up. That's a little bit artificial. I mean, you haven't quite balanced your game for, you know, other stuff. You have to have this artificial catch-up mechanic in order to do it for you, but I'd rather have an artificial one than no catch-up mechanic at all. But still, there was one person who was way behind in our case. You know, 3 of us were at the point of finishing. One person was miles behind. He had no chance. So it doesn't matter what catch-up mechanic you throw in. But the other problems of this game basically shine through because this has all the hallmarks of Kickstarter syndrome. Now, I mentioned about storage being terrible. The rulebook is not particularly good either, so that's a nightmare to sift through. You know, icons and descriptions and explanations are in the wrong place. I mean, it gets told, right, make a wager by putting a gold down. Okay, what happens after that, and what's the outcome of the wager? Oh, you got to turn over a few pages before you get to that. And it's like, what, for crying out loud? Keep the stuff in the same section. So it's not written very well, which made it a chore for us to actually get started and played while we got used to the rules. The potions that you can carry and use in combat, quite cool, but there's only like 5 different ones. So you just see the same effects pretty much, and it's kind of boring. You know, it would have been nice if there was a much bigger array of potions. Fighting the monsters is pretty boring. All you do is basically say if you're going to bite, or somebody else takes control of the deck and they say bite or charge, flip the card over and see what it does. Now, there is an expansion that makes the monsters have special abilities and at different levels and strengths and weaknesses. That would infinitely make the combat better, I agree, but we were playing the base game because we barely managed to get the rules down for the base game, let alone try and throw in expansions. So we were playing a lesser version of that, but it's just the fact that this game has some weird sort of, it's just got problems with like being a Kickstarter, you know, where you can just tell things weren't developed in the oven long enough. It needed more time to get that storage and rulebook sorted, but even then the gameplay just didn't feel that fulfilling. As I say, the monsters literally just sit there waiting for you to level up and come and kill them. And all you do to level up is go to a location, and it either does it automatically if it's at your lowest level, or you pay money to do it. That's it. That's all you do. You just do that, and that's how you level up skills. You don't level it up by fighting creatures or anything like that. You level it up by an arbitrary visit location mechanic. Boring. The quests and rewards you get, it's entirely random what you get. So you've got no way to kind of plan, right, I need gold. Well, how can I get gold? Well, hopefully a quest will give me some gold. You know, you do have a dice poker mechanic to earn gold, but it's really pointless because all it is just basically roll 5 dice, you get a reroll, and it's make poker hands. That's it. It's entirely luck-based. It just seems like an arbitrary way to hope that you get money, and it's entirely random. There's no way to mitigate it at all. No mechanic in this game I've seen allows you to mitigate the rolls. So you're just on blind luck. The encounters, their rewards aren't balanced. You know, a reward might get you to gain a couple of gold, maybe gain 3 gold or something. It's like, well, I'm sorry, if an encounter card says gain an attribute level, that is infinitely better by miles than getting a little bit of gold or another quest card or something like that. And you know, if you get quests, they can yield good rewards, but you don't always get a quest card. So again, I went through the entire game not getting one single quest, and other people were just getting quests all the time. I mean, there's no way for me to do it. I can't, you know, specifically go hunt a quest down. Why are they random from the encounter cards? I mean, yeah, you could have some like that, but why not have a face-up display of quest cards, like on a notice board, where you can sort of pass by a village and go, I fancy doing that quest, actually. I'm going to yoink that one while I'm in this town, and then I go and do that quest. You know, it's something I can personally volunteer to do, whereas the others are just forced on you. I don't think there's anything else I can think of. I mean, combat is random with how the monster damages you. So, I mean, if the person chooses unlucky with bite and charge, then, you know, you could be getting hit for 5 damage a time. And I don't care how powerful your character is, you ain't going to survive being hit for 5 damage a time. So it just hurts like that. Your stats that you level up, I mean, you've got your speciality for your player board, which is, again, not balanced, I don't think, with the others. I don't think mine was, as a Griffin, I don't think mine was very good compared to someone like the Speed clan. But then, you know, alchemy, leveling up that is not that great. I mean, there's very few occasions where you need to use 3 or 4 potions in the same combat, so leveling up alchemy just feels kind of pointless, really. Really, you want combat and defense. Because at the end of the day, the main way you get trophies is combat and defense. You need to draw a lot of cards in combat so you can do cool stuff, but you also need to have your defense really high because you're taking damage and you don't survive the combat very long. You're not going to win this game with a like really high alchemy, a really high combat, but then no shields. It's just not going to work, you know, and certainly leveling up your speciality by itself will not help you when you need shields. It just really pigeonholes you into such an extent that you don't feel different from any other character. Apart from your speciality ability, that's it. You know, 3 other people in the game, and I don't feel any different. They've got potions, the same ones as me. They've got attributes leveling up at roughly the same rate. And that's it. You don't get cool weapons. You don't get like, oh, I get this magic sword that does this, or I get this really cool piece of armor that does this. There's none of that, so you don't have items that you pick up. It just feels like, I mean, it's definitely miles better than Skyrim, the adventure board game, because that I thought was average at best, possibly even below average. But this game is pretty lackluster, and when I put my impressions up on board game Facebook and that, although I don't think I put my impressions up on Instagram, I might need to do that at some point soon. But a lot of people were agreeing with me that they found this a bit lackluster, which kind of confuses me for the fact that this is ranked 366 on Board Game Geek for 6,200 ratings. Now, 6,200 ratings is pretty low for ratings for a game. And yeah, I did put my impressions up on there. But I mean, how many people are rating this a 10? What are they actually saying about it? So, huge replayability. No, there is not. 5 different potions, the same sort of monsters that turn up. Satisfying combat, if you use the expansion, otherwise it is not satisfying combat. Fun exploration, the encounters. But yeah, Arkham Horror and Star Wars Outer Rim did them better. Monster Trail is a must. Oh, is that the monster expansion? Yeah, so basically you're saying it's satisfying combat, but you have to use an expansion to make it satisfying. Well, then why wasn't it part of the main game to begin with? Okay, so somebody rated it 9.5, and the best 2 things they can say about it is metal coins and dice set. The dice set is completely pointless. You get a bunch of dice of your colour with the little sign symbols that Witchers use, and that's it. The only time you roll dice is for poker dice and like occasional encounter card. You don't need them. We saw them as components and we didn't actually know why they were there, but we kept them to the side, and then it dawned on us that these are literally just here to look cool and charge more money. Why is that worth a 10 out of 10? This game oozes with theme and is absolutely gorgeous. It is gorgeous to look at, and I will admit, the theme is strong here. I don't know anything about the Witcher lore, but I could tell that the people who were making this did pay attention to the theme, so if you are a Witcher fanboy, you will get that theme out of this game. Greatly enjoyed exploring around the map and hunting down monsters. Well, all 3 of them that stay in the same place. I mean, it's not really a hunt, is it? I mean, the monster stays in the same place all the time. It's not a hunt. It's literally just, oh, can you just wait a minute? Right, level up combat, level up defense. Right, I'll go back to this location, level up economy, maybe level up combat again. Right, I'm ready now. I'm coming to get you. Really? Is that a hunt? The hardest part to understand was getting the combat down. Yes, the combat and the way you make your life deck and how you get knocked out is so poorly explained in the book, it's unreal. Adds a role-playing aspect to the game. So do all of these games. That doesn't make the game great. It just, that you're injecting your own fun into that. Plenty to occupy me, blah, 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 blah. There's not enough in here to say that this is a 10 out of 10 game. I'm sorry. Preliminary after 2 plays, 3-player and 4-player. 3-player dealt just right, 4-player really dragged. Oh god, yeah, it really dragged. I mean, we spent 3 to 4 hours at least playing the game, and that was after the chronic setup and that. I mean, this game is way too long. Seriously, you pretty much have to, play the solo. Maybe 2-player. It is not worth above that. I don't even think it's worth 3-player, frankly, because honestly, the other players don't add anything. You can occasionally fight another Witcher. Doing that is almost suicidal because another Witcher of any decent level is going to be way more powerful than a monster. So why? And that's it. That's all they add. Other than that, the other people in the group might as well not even be there. Most of these people writing it on 10 either don't have very good reasons to give, or just aren't giving any reasons. But yeah, I'm sorry. This game is not a 10 out of 10. I would put it here in the 5 out of 10 bracket. In fact, that's where I did put it, 5 out of 10, based on first impressions. But yeah, the downtime is killer, pretty much solitaire. Yeah, game way too long. Theme is well integrated, artwork is great, but yeah, leveling your Witcher is all right. Story cards, this one it is basically a watered down version of most other adventure games, and I think other adventure games have done it better. If you want to play something like this, that is a solid, if you want to play like a good thematic IP adventure game with encounters, with ways to level up your character and get more cool stuff and things like that, play Star Wars Outer Rim. Star Wars Outer Rim, especially with the expansion, is light years, no pun intended, better than what Witcher the Old World was. I'm sorry, it just miles is. And I would rather play any of the Arkham Horror games rather than this, for those like encounters and exploring a map and stuff. This is definitely better than the Skyrim adventure game. I rate them about the same, but I would still play this one, I think, over the Skyrim one. In fact, the Skyrim probably should be a 4, not a 5. Did I give it a 4? Who knows? I can't remember. But the thing with this is, this is lackluster. This is just another excuse to charge hundreds and hundreds of dollars for a Kickstarter where people pay all this money, get all this stuff. It's organized badly, but because it cost them so much money, they feel compelled to love it because it cost them so much money. But now, if I paid all this money and got this game, I'd be let down majorly. Right. Okay, let's move on to Spiel. Yeah, my throat's going a little bit weird today, but as I say, this episode's not going to be too long. So, right, Spiel Essen is soon upon us, the 3rd to the 6th of October 2024. I will be there from the Tuesday through to Sunday afternoon. I need to head back on Sunday afternoon because work. But yeah, I normally don't like to stay on the Monday because it's an extra day of holiday I've got to take just for travel. I don't like doing that. I mean, all you do on the Sunday evening after the Essen is unwind with a couple of games like you do every night. I need to get back. I'd rather keep the day of holiday and use it on something else. So I'll be heading off about 4 o'clock on Sunday because I have to drive to the Channel Tunnel and catch a ferry. Not ferry, the tunnel itself. So yeah, I'll be leaving promptly about that time. But I'll be there from Tuesday evening, because I'm getting the Hook of Holland ferry overnight on Monday night, which breaks up the journey quite a bit. It costs a little bit extra, but it does break up the journey, so I'm not driving for 7 hours on the Tuesday. And Paul Grogan won't be joining me this time because he's got alternative transport, and also he can't handle getting up early in the morning. He is getting older. But I'll be traveling alone, which means I don't have a talking partner. Although it does mean I'll be able to listen to whatever music I want. So there are swings and roundabouts. But that's why I want to break up the journey, at least on the way there, because then it's not so bad. On the way back, it's going to be a bit like 7 hours by myself in a car. It's like, well, it's not the most exhilarating journey because you're pretty much on a motorway the entire way, even in Europe. But there is nice scenery to look at. And as I say, driving my car I like doing anyway because my car is lovely. But yes, I'll be coming over on a Hook of Holland ferry, and then on Tuesday morning I will be stopping off at my rented place, which is outside of Essen, because we'll get onto the reasons why later, but it's apparently 8 minutes away from Duisburg, I can't pronounce it, but Duisburg Zoo, which is near Essen anyway. So I kind of want to visit the zoo, because the last European zoo I visited, Rotterdam Zoo, was fantastic. Really loved it. So I want to visit a German zoo and see what's in there. So I will be making a little bit of a personal day trip to there on the Tuesday afternoon, I suspect. Or Tuesday late morning to late afternoon or something. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that one. But then I'll be at the press event at Spiel on Wednesday. So we have a press event on Wednesday for content creators, and so we basically can get a little bit of a heads up. We can get our impressions of some games, and it's kind of like a last minute thing of, right, we've prepared for this event, we sort of know what's going to be there, so now we get there and find, oh, actually, you know what, I'm going to give this game a look that I didn't think of before, or we get to chat to some of the publishers in advance. Annoyingly, I'm not going to be demoing with anyone this time round. I tried to find out if anyone was willing to, but they weren't. So this time I'm just going to have to make do as a normal press person, which has a major issue. You don't get into the event early when you're a press person. Well, if you do, it's like 10-15 minutes. Barely enough time to get to a table to get a demo on if you're excited for it. Normally, as an exhibitor, you get to go and get there nice and early and get all your stuff done. That's a problem. So yeah, that is going to be a bit of an annoyance, especially as I need to get around the halls on Wednesday to see certain people to pick up review copies. But yeah, I'm just going to have to queue up and hope I can do stuff early in the morning. But I did try to exhibit with people. I did ask, but the problem is that they want people to work pretty much the entire event. It's like, well, no, I've got to meet publishers. I've got to play games. I've got to do stuff as a content creator. I can't spend my entire convention working for someone else. I would have loved to have done stuff with Czech Game Editions, but Czech Game Editions, as I say, want someone practically full-time for the event. I can't do it. Tried to get with Weird City Games. He already had a full team. Apparently, I didn't even get an invite for the Greater Than Games one this time. They somehow already found a team. And did I search for other people? Yeah, I think I did search around. But yeah, I couldn't find anybody who was willing to let me sort of do some demoing for them. But the thing is, I've got limited time now because I've booked meetings. The best I could do is, some Saturday morning stuff. And even then, that's kind of filled up now. And set up. So I could happily help you for most of the time on Wednesday, other than the press event, to set up your booth and get it ready. But that's kind of all I can offer, really, because I do a lot more meetings now. And, I need to get away on the Sunday. So, most publishers are not willing to give out an exhibitor badge for just helping them set up a booth, which is fair enough. But like I say, it just means I'm kind of in that situation. But I did try. To ask, and it was just a bit problematic. Essen is quite a busy show for me, so there's always a lot happening. Whereas something like the UK Games Expo could be something that I could do more demoing for because A, it's stupidly expensive to go to the Games Expo for what it is, and B, it only takes so long to go around the actual trade hall. So, what I'll mention just quickly is that I will also be there at a meet and play event. So they're on Saturday from 2 o'clock to 6 o'clock in a place called Sal Europa, which I think is a room below Hall 1, around that entranceway. Hopefully they'll signpost it. It's where you can basically meet up with your favorite content creators and just play some filler games or just chat to them. Chat to them in an environment that isn't your, in the bustling noise of the halls. So I will be there at 3 o'clock along with Paul Grogan, Mark Monk, and Mark Dainty, and a few other UK creators. We're all going to sort of make a pact to go there at the same time. So 3 o'clock, I'll be there. How long for? I don't know. I could stay there the entire event. I might be heading off at 5 o'clock. I'll be there for a couple of hours, I reckon. But it kind of does depend on how many people turn up and who goes there. I mean, if you catch me during the event and I'm not in a rush, then by all means, shake my hand, say hi. I'm not going to bite your hand off or anything. I love it when people, come up to me and say hi and say they like the show and stuff. It makes my day. But if you want to chat to me properly, in a calm, collected setting, maybe even play a filler game or something, then by all means come, and we're talking micro game. Like maybe I'll take a love letter or vegetable stock, some like pocket games that we can play. I can't take anything big, but if we do that, then you're welcome to come to this event and just chat to me there and then. Ask what questions you want to ask and things like that, and I'll be glad to see you. So, yeah, we're going to be there. At least 3 till 5, I reckon, for me. Maybe longer if it goes well. But meet and play, Saturday. You want to see us all? Then by all means, check us out there. All right, cool, blimey, my throat. It is getting a little bit on the dry side. We'll have to just go with the flow. Okay, so the setup for Spiel is these halls. Now, this is why I'm a bit worried about my foot, because it's not a small location, the Essen Spiel halls. You've got 7, 8 halls there, and essentially 6 of them get used for the event, but you still have to walk through 8 and 7 in order to get to the bloody thing. It's annoying, because we used to be able to park below Hall 3, and that was quite convenient. You could park right underneath Hall 3 and come up through a side door and get straight in. It was amazing. Now we are forced to park at the entrance next to Hall 8, which is at the other end of the whole complex. And so you have to walk through 2 halls just to get into the convention, and then you only enter at Hall 6, which you then have to walk through to get to Hall 5, which you then have to walk through to get to Hall 3, 4, and 2, and 1, which are the halls that you're probably more interested in anyway. Yeah, there is some good stuff in 5 and 6, don't get me wrong, but if you're looking for the top publishers, they're typically in Hall 3 and sort of Hall 1 and 2. 4, 5, and 6 have a few publishers you want to see, but only so many, and they have like the more niche stuff there. And they've done this thing where they basically try to separate the halls into types of games, but they seem to make a complete hash of this as they did last year. So Hall 1 is now going to be primarily roleplay, miniature, and trading card games. I guarantee you there'll be some element of that goes wrong. Expert games, like our type of games, and hobby games are mostly in Hall 3 and Hall 2, and with a bit of Hall 4, so cool. And then family games are mostly going to be Hall 6, Hall 5, and a bit of Hall 4. So I, personally, will probably be hanging around Hall 3, 2, and 4 more often, but with an element of 5 and 6. If Hall 1 has nothing that I need, I'm not going to go into Hall 1, because I have no interest in the role-playing, miniature, and trading card games. And Hall 7 and 8 is literally just queuing. But you do have to walk a lot around these halls, so there are certainly some tips that I have for you. Firstly, if you are driving, get there early. There are only 2 ways to get into this complex, like this car park, right? You have to come from, what do they call it there? Old Alfredstrasse? Yeah, Alfredstrasse, all right? That big street. Or you come from Norbertstrasse. So those are the 2 ways that you get into this car park, right? If you come from Norbertstrasse, you might get caught in some traffic, like getting onto the street, but if you can get onto that street, it's easier to turn from Norbertstrasse into the car park. If you come from Albertstrasse, it takes forever to get off that street because of the the queues coming back. But then also you're at a kind of weird traffic light system or like a kind of an impasse to get into the car park itself. Now, if you get there early, and I do mean early, you can dodge this problem. If you try to get there anywhere close to the starting time, and I mean anywhere close, I mean even like half an hour before the place opens, you're going to get caught in the traffic and it is going to hurt a lot. You know, it really is painful to get through that street. Now, I am driving in from outside, so I can be flexible, but I will be getting there early because it takes me 18 minutes, 20 minutes to drive from where I'm staying because well, I'll go into that tip in just a second. But yes, if you're going to drive into this car park and park there for the event, get there early. Just get there early, find something to do, and wait. Because trust me, it'll be less painful for you. If you're not using a car, then just use public transport and get on the metro system and you'll be right as rain. I mean, no problem. But not everybody is going to be doing that. So why am I staying outside of Essen? Well, because it's cheaper. By miles. Yeah, much like the Games Expo, the hotels around Essen are, crazy expensive to stay in there. Like one of the best value places you can get is probably the Premier Inn that I was at last year, where Paul Grogan and a few others like to go. But even that's like £75, £80 a night. It's not cheap. And honestly, the location is not that great. Firstly, it's a nightmare to park there. You have to have a negotiation battle with the people who run the hotel to be allowed to park. And even then, you probably have to be charged to park each day, which is not great. But the other thing is that the location really isn't that great. It's right next to the main metro station. Okay, cool. But let's face it, this is a city with a very good public transport system. You can stay pretty much in most places in Essen and still be close to a metro point. So that's not really a big deal. But it's also, as I say, right next to the main train station, which means noise. You have the train station noise, and it's not great for peaceful, early nights or early mornings. So that's a problem. You can't park near the place if you're visiting the site, so that's always a problem. And last time we were at the Premier Inn, I don't know what is going on in Germany with regards to hospitality industry. I know we have it bad in the UK, but something is going very wrong in Germany. But I think they have a supply and demand problem with staff. Like they have loads of roles for hospitality and nobody willing to work it, which I don't blame them given how bad the wages and the work is for hospitality a lot of the time. But the place when we were at Premier Inn last year, it was run by 2 people and they weren't even regulars there. I think they were they were either interns or they were transfers, like temporary help. I kid you not. The whole hotel was those 2. I'm not even certain they were doing breakfast there. No, they were doing breakfast there, but God knows who they got to cook. They must have found like 1 or 2 other people to do it. But they couldn't do food in the evenings. These 2 people had to do the front desk and general stuff and the bar. So getting a drink was a nightmare. And nobody seemed to be around in terms of cleaning staff or anything like that. It was basically 2 people running the whole hotel. The service was absolutely terrible. So much so, I refused to stay there again. I'm not staying there again, not for that much money. If I'm paying that much money, I want 5-star treatment, thank you very much. Hotels do not need to cost as much as they do. Now, I'm staying in my own, apart hotel place, about 18 minutes, 17 minutes drive per Google Map away from the city. So all you do is you get up early, drive to the centre, get there early enough to park in the car park, do all you need around the halls. I can put all my games in my car, if not at a publisher site or at the mail and ship and mail, whatever they have at the storage at the event. But I can store my stuff away, take it back to my house if need be and dump it off, at night. But for the most part, it means that I can leave my car at Essen and then just go and use the metro system to get around and visit people in the evening. So it's very convenient for me. And then the house only costs, I forget how much it was, like a few €100, if that. So, these people who are paying like £80 a night minimum to stay in there. I mean, that was the cheap rate for Essen. You could be paying £100 a night to stay in most other places at Essen. If you go in the city centre, they're paying like nearly £100 a night. I'm paying 40 something a night, 50 tops. 55 at the absolute tops. But yeah, I'm paying like 20, 30 quid cheaper a night than the next player. And all I got to do is just drive quarter of an hour, 20 minutes into the city each day and back. Whoop-de-doo. I do twice that to go to work each day. So that's not a big deal. And it's peaceful. because I don't have the hustle and bustle of the city when I go to sleep. I'm in the quiet suburbs area or like in a small town nearby or something. So the traffic is like nowhere near as much. So I can guarantee I'll get a good night's sleep. I say guarantee. One night I did stay in a different hotel somewhere else and they decided to have a wedding reception that lasted until 4 in the morning. I was not happy about that because they didn't tell us it was happening when we booked it. But yeah, that aside, generally it's fine. So, that's what I recommend. If you have a car or if you're willing to be somewhere close to a train station, I recommend staying outside of Essen. You'll get it much cheaper. Much, much cheaper. Right. The convention itself, obviously you've got to navigate all these halls, so things to have with you. Do not take giant trolleys or, if you have to take one of those bags that carries a lot of games, be mindful of how you do it because you are not popular with the masses if you are carrying this massive bag on your back and turning around and constantly concussing people. And I have not concussed anybody, but I have carried one of those in the past, and I have to admit, I can see where they're coming from. It's not particularly pleasant. But I don't really have much of a choice because that's kind of how I have to roll there. But, I'm more than happy to, find alternative means. Unfortunately, I don't know where else I can store stuff. So I think I'm just going to have to do a lot of laps back and forth to the car every now and again, which was easier when I was parked underneath hall 3. But being parked at the other end of hall 8 is going to make that a bit of a chore. So I am going to have to just do what I can. But don't take massive trolleys in. Be mindful if you're taking pushchairs in. This is not an event you take babies to. I'm sorry, it really just is. It's too noisy. It's too crowded. You're going to have problems. But you need comfortable shoes. So, I'm going to need them, especially with my foot. But you need to be able to walk back and forth through these halls constantly. Right? And these are big halls. I don't know how many miles it is from, one end of hall 3 all the way to the other end of hall 8, but it is not a short walk. It is probably a good half a mile, if not a mile, to get across from one bit to the other. Okay, maybe that's a bit excessive, but it's definitely somewhere in like a half mile, 3/4 of a mile walk to do one end of the hall to the other. And you're doing this back and forth all the time. You're going to be walking a lot. So make certain you are in a state. You dress warm. Dress for warm weather because it can get quite warm in those halls. You're not going to be cold. It ain't going to happen. So I would recommend dressing light so that you can walk around nice and easy. Have plenty of water on you. Have a refillable bottle, I recommend. I've got like one of those refillable metal coffee cup things. Take one of those or something because not only can you take a hot drink in there when you're just starting off the day, and I recommend you do that. Fill up your thing at the hotel and take it in. But then during the day, all you got to do is pop into the bathrooms and fill up from the tap. Now, I forget I think they have cold taps there and not just hot ones. So hopefully that's the case. And I thought they had fountains every now and again, but I'm not sure if they did at this one. Maybe that was just Games Expo. But I think you should be able to at least be able to get water. So I recommend taking a bottle that you can fill up at the tap. If you're really conscious about drinking tap water, then take a 2-liter bottle minimum of mineral water and drink that throughout the day. I might even do that. It's heavy weight to carry. That's the problem, but it's healthy water. So I can't stress enough you're going to need that. And take snacks. This place is not cheap for food. The food is pretty expensive and it is not healthy. You are eating currywurst, sausage burst, pizzas, ice cream and that. And you're not going to find anything healthy there. Or at least very little that's considered healthy. So I recommend taking snacks. I like to take trail mix, nuts, dried fruit, that kind of thing. I like to take protein bars. Protein bars are good for sustenance because protein will keep you full for longer. Fruit. Apples could be a good alternative. Maybe a banana for potassium and some energy. But any other suggestions food-wise? Well, if you really must indulge a sweet tooth, then take a packet of sweets. Take a packet of Haribo or something. Just take something that you can easily whip out and nibble on that isn't like too heavy to carry. But you're going to need it. Otherwise, you're going to be spending far too much money on food. I tend to eat like a pig for breakfast and then eat snacks and that throughout the day at Essen to survive, and then I'll worry about a dinner later on if I need it. But I do tend to, not starve myself, but I do tend to eat quite light after breakfast at Essen because it's just cheaper to do so. But yeah, there'll be stuff like that to eat, I guess. But yeah, if you need to be mindful of what you eat at the site. Any other tips I can think of? Cash. It is mostly a cash affair, and I don't know. Scroll some pictures on this gallery here because I've been kind of on this screen for ages. But consider cash, because these. Is it? Can we like look at these as a slideshow? Yeah, there we go. So all right, we can get some of these going. But yeah, a lot of these stalls have cash only, because apparently it is extremely expensive in Europe, or certainly Germany, to sign up for credit card processing systems, especially if you are from overseas. I think it's not so bad if you are German and within Germany, but if you are coming from overseas and you try to get credit card processing stuff, it's apparently extremely expensive. Now, that means you need to, and yes, there is stuff for kids to do, but this means that you need to be carrying a fair bit of cash on you, because not a lot of places are going to take card. Some places will, but their systems will probably be quite slow. It's going to be, hit and miss as to whether they're going to have it. You may just have to carry a lot of cash on you. So also think security. This place has a problem with theft. People do steal a lot at these places. They half-inch games, they slip them into bags. If you think that they're being quite security conscious on a booth, there's a reason for that, because there have been cases in the past where people have not only had game stock nicked, but somehow people have managed to get into their back rooms and steal cash tins. I can't stress enough how you shouldn't be constantly watching a cash tin if you're at a game show, like this. This is for the people who work there. You do not take your eyes off the cash tin, when you are, somebody is looking at that cash tin 24/7 when you're at a games convention. It's the only way to keep it secure. But the idea with this is that you also need to watch your own personal security. There's a lot of people here. It's quite crowded. You'd be surprised how many pickpockets there could be. So I recommend that if you're going to have cash on your person, you need to have very tight pockets, or ideally grab one of those, I don't know what you call them, like fanny bags, or, the things you wear around your waist. Do I have one of those still? I thought I did. I'm not sure if I do anymore. I might have to buy one of those before I go. I might have to add that to my shopping list, or just check if I have it again. But something like that is definitely recommended. Or if you're going to carry money, never carry coins and just carry notes, but put them in your back pocket, like your butt pocket, nice and tight, so you can feel that that money is there. That's a lot harder to pickpocket. If you're one of these girls who, I swear to God, I don't know what they're thinking, who walk around the street with their mobile phone sticking halfway out of their back pocket, good luck, because even if you might feel your phone got nicked, somebody could nick that phone off you and hide in the crowd and blend in without any chance of you figuring out who it was. So, do not take liberties with your personal belongings, and carry your cash and keep it secure. A bag around your waist with a zip start is ideal, because then you know exactly where it is. I might even buy one myself, actually, because I think it's probably worth it. Other tips. Bags, as I said, be mindful if you're going to carry one of those giant bags full of games, because you're not going to be popular with other people. This place is crowded. This place gets very, very crowded. Let me just take a swig a sec. All right. Now, it goes on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Thursday and Friday and Sunday are the least busy of the four. Now, I would say Friday is starting to get quite a lot busier. And I must admit, even Thursday is getting busier to some extent, because people are starting to wise up to this fact. But Thursday and Sunday are going to be your quietest days. Friday will be your second busiest day. Saturday is so busy it is unfrickin' real. If you are hoping to just come on the Saturday, be prepared, because loads of people are there on the Saturday. Getting into demos will be damn near impossible unless you are willing to wait patiently for a game to finish, and that could take a while. You may just have to live in hope. If you just casually browse hoping you'll get into a game, particularly for a popular title, good luck with that. It ain't gonna happen. So you need to, be a little mindful of that. So if you are planning to come for the 4 days, or if you're thinking, well, I can't do all the days, which day could I skip? Skip Saturday. Honestly, come for Thursday and Friday. Or if you're going to come for a 3-day thing, come for Friday, come for Sunday. skip Saturday. Or just accept that you're just going to casually browse on Saturday, because you're just not going to be able to easily get into stuff. And what I tend to do is I try to book most of my, most of my meetings on the Saturday. As I say, I'm going to do that meet and play event. I've got 4 or 5 different meetings on Saturday booked, including a demo that's pre-booked, and that's all on Saturday. So Saturday, I'm pretty much tied up. But that's the thing, they're arranged. I can deal with that. It's why typically if I'm helping out on an exhibitor, I tend to help out on the Saturday, because it's not like I can do much on the Saturday anyway, and they need as much help as they can get on a Saturday. So I will be, tied up for that day. But some people will take a trip to Essen, go for the 4 days, and then go see the sights, go sightseeing, go to Duisburg Zoo like I'm going to or something. Go somewhere, do something else on the, on the Saturday. Because it will probably be a lot better. You will probably find it's, going to be a lot more comfortable for you in the long run. Honestly, I cannot stress, Saturday is packed. You can barely move. It's going to be hot and clustered. Your personal belongings are at even more risk. Publishers the same. You need to be mindful. Another little tip. And this is a tip I've never really said in previous years, but I'm going to say it this time round. How long is this episode? An hour? Oh, well, screw it. Demos. So, demos are cool to get into, but bear in mind there's only so much time at this event, and ideally you should try and turn up early so you can get to the front of the queues, but then be willing to leave early as well, because when everybody else starts rushing out of that convention, the public transport gets held up like crazy, and it's like a lot of people. So be wary of that. Now, the thing with demos is that some publishers are basically grabbing mostly volunteers to do these demos. So you're not always going to get somebody who's very good at teaching games. That's just the nature of the beast, and publishers really ought to be mindful of who they get to teach games, and maybe have a system, maybe have a script. But, sometimes you're just unlucky with those. But be mindful of the type of demo that a game's going to have, because intelligent publishers, and I'm going to say the word intelligent because I think all publishers should be realizing this, should be doing, like, for a game that's 30 minutes or less, you can have a playthrough of the whole game because it's short. Anything that is anywhere close to an hour or longer should be a 30-minute demo. Honestly, demos should not be more than 30 minutes if you can help it. An hour tops if it's a long game. Because what some people tend to end up doing is that they end up having a long game and then for some reason let people play the whole game, which could take hours, which is A, stupid, because not enough people are trying your game, and B, it's frustrating for the people who want to get into the game because they can't because the demos are too long. The best demos get you to like the game from the 1 or 2 rounds you've played and get you excited to try more. If there's nothing worse than being sucked into a demo that takes nearly 2 hours, knowing that you're not likely to buy the game 30 minutes into it, and you can't back out. That's time you could be spent doing other things. So check the length of the demo before you get stuck in. Some of the best demos I had at the Games Expo, Luthier from Paverson Games or whatever they're called, the Distilled Lot, that was a 1-2 round scripted demo. Took a bit longer than it should have done, fair play to, but, if it was going at the proper rate, that was a good enough time for me to get used to the game. SETI. SETI was only a few rounds. Didn't take that long, an hour tops, maybe 45 minutes. But that was all I needed to get into the game. But I have played games where I've had to wait for AP players to hurry up and take turns, and the game's taken an hour and a half to teach something that was pretty much just a 45-minute game, and I'm like, this was time that I could have been spent doing other things. I did not need to play the whole frigging game. If I want to play your whole game, I will buy the game off you or get a review copy and do it then. But here at a convention, time is precious. I just want to try it. Try before I buy. I mean, I will actually, shock horror, try Civolution by Stefan Feld. I doubt I'm going to like the game that much at Stefan Feld, but you never know, stranger things have happened. But I want to try the game. I do not want to try that game if the demo's longer than an hour. If that game's like posting a 90-minute, 2-hour demo, I'm out. Sorry. I've got better things to be getting on with. I'd rather just get the game and play. If you know that you've got to play the game like crazy, like lengthwise, before as a demo, then you either might as well just buy it and try it and then sell it off later, or you just ignore it and just move on. There's thousands of other games. So in my case, I probably have to buy it and try it later because, well, A, I'm not going to get a review copy of Civolution because I'm pretty sure the publisher wouldn't be stupid enough to give me a copy for my Stefan Feld history. But, you know, it's going to be too long for me to get played at the event, so I'd probably have to buy it in advance and, you know, try it out later. But cool, blimey, yeah, do not, you know, be just mindful. Ask, and if the demo's too long, ask them if they can do a shorter demo because they'll be willing. If they say, oh, we got to play the full game and it'll take 90 minutes or so in that, and they're just going to teach you and leave you to it, there's nothing stopping you walking out on the demo halfway through. Like, he teaches you the bits of the game to get going, and you play it for a bit and you go, yeah, I'm kind of cool with it. We can leave early. Be willing to. You don't have to play the whole game. It's polite to other people to leave early, and if you already have an idea of whether you like the game or not, then just leave early. Why do you need to finish it? It's not necessary. Now, the best demos will be ones where the people sort of half take you through the game, like half scripted, because they work really well. You know, it's better to have people explain the game as you go through it, which is a way that I like to do demos at exhibitors, versus teaching you a ton of rules off the bat and just saying, right, get on with it. It's different, I guess, if it's a 30-minute filler, but usually, especially if it's a longer game, I will say, right, you know, semi-scripted, I've set the game up so that I know what's going to appear. I want you to do this first. Right, this is why this is happening. Now you do this first. Now you do this next. Right, this is why this is happening. Paul Grogan uses this style with his demos a lot. Nucleum was the same because I got taught by him at another Essen for Nucleum. And it was similar to that. It was like, you know, a bit of a talk through. Right, I want you to now try and build a train over here. Right, now this is how this works. Perfect. You can let us do our own turns once we're comfortable, but we don't know the game and we're short on time. You know, if people are going to get nasty about, look, I don't want you to script me through the game, I want to be left to my own devices, well, what's the point? I don't get that. I honestly don't get that. Okay, anything else to mention? What am I going to mention? Do your research ahead of time. There's a lot of publishers there. They usually, I think they have like a program that you might be able to, let's see, is there Spielporks? Hopefully you can actually get like a program for the, well, you can get the app, sorry, the app is worth grabbing. It basically allows you to look up where publishers are, or look up a specific game and know where it is. So that is something that's worth actually getting it in advance and doing your research. Some people on Board Game Geek do like an unofficial Essen Spiel map. I mean, I wonder if that's it. In Essen Unofficial Spiel Map 24. Hard to say. There was somebody on Facebook who used to do it. I don't know if they are this time around. It might be on it might appear on Board Game Geek soon, but you'll probably have to just do your research for that. But yeah, do your research and know where the people are so that when you're planning your route, you're not just wandering aimlessly. You know, if you've got key stuff to go for, get the key stuff first. Get in that demo first if that is your prime game for the morning. If you know exactly that you want to buy these games, then get them. Although if you've pre-ordered, then you can be a little bit more flexible. You know, if you've not pre-ordered, then go get the games you want to get now and do it soon, right? But if you've pre-ordered ahead of time, you can wait. You know, time it for the end. So like I don't know when the convention ends, 6 o'clock, something like that. So maybe 4 o'clock, 4:30, you stop doing what you're doing and think, right, we've got about an hour before things are going to get chaotic here. Now we're just going to go around and collect all the pre-orders. Do that. You know, just save time at the end of the convention day before the crowd start dispersing to pick up all your pre-orders. There's no point doing it early because you're going to have to carry all that stuff around with you, which is just problematic. So do it later, set yourself some time to do it, and pick up your pre-orders then. Any other tips? Any other tips? There's got to be a few tips I can think of. No, I've already said about researching. I've said about food. I've said about comfortable clothing. I've said about bringing cash. Bring a lot of cash. Cash machines have a habit of running out of cash very quickly there. So I would not rely on taking a tiny bit of cash and then going to a cash point. Because firstly, I think it will charge. But also, they run out all the time. Or have queues. Be willing, as I said, security. Fanny pack round the waist. Tons of cash. Take it. Use that cash up. Right? Don't, you know, just because somebody allows you to pay by card, you might be better off using cash just so that you don't have a lot to exchange back in the long run. Anything else I can think of? I don't think so. I think that's kind of all the tips I can think of for Essen. So yeah, if you do see me there, then by all means, say hi. Be willing to shake my hand. Saturday could be problematic, hence find me at the meet and play event. Find me during that time. That'll be a lot easier to talk to me on the Saturday because I'm going to be all over the shop. But I've got nothing planned on the Friday. Friday is my official, right, go into as many demos as I can day. Sunday is a mixture of that and a couple of meetings, and then I got to head off. Thursday, I think I've only got one thing planned on Thursday, which is the, I believe I'm in a prescribed demo for Awaken Realms' new game or something. I forget, I think it's that. So I'll be certainly getting into that at that stage. But yeah, I think Thursday and Friday are mostly free, and Sunday has that effect. So like I say, if you see me during the convention, then say hi. If I'm in a rush, if I've got to get to somewhere for a specific time, I will politely tell you I have to do this. I'll still acknowledge that you showed up and, do a very quick selfie if you want it and, shake your hand and be thankful. But I will let you know if I need to get somewhere. But if not, I'll stand and chat to you. We can chat for a couple of minutes, get a selfie and stuff like that. I do not come out well on photos, I do warn you. I mean, when I have to pose for a photo, it's a little bit on the scary side. So, not a lot I can do on that. It's better to pull a silly face than it is to try and pull a serious one on a photo. But yeah, it's cool to see you. So, come see me at the Meet and Play event or just see me during the convention. But it will be great to see you and be reminded that for as much effort as this takes, it's all still worth it. So that's it for me on this episode of The Broken Meeple. Remember, thumb up on on YouTube, and let me know your comments about Essen in general. What are you looking forward to playing at Essen? And will you be turning up to the Meet and Play event? That'll be something that will be good to know so I can get an idea of numbers. But other than that, take care. If you're attending, then hope to see you there, and I hope you enjoy it. If you're not attending, then, well, it won't take long before most of those Essen games come out on the retail anyway. So, we'll be happy to chat about the games we played afterwards. I'm not going to do any live streams at the convention itself. I've gone off that, really. They're not good quality. They're off my laptop. And honestly, I'd rather just collate my thoughts and tell you, like, in a video after the show, like a post video. That's a lot better. It's higher quality. It's better. But when I look at my live stuff I've done in the past, like the stuff I did with Hilmar last year and a few others, they're fun to do, but man, the image quality is shoddy, the internet connection is not guaranteed, and this time also I'm not going to be at my place I'm staying at, so I have to be out and about, so I'm not in a position to join a live stream. Now, if Paul Grogan or somebody else does a live thing and they want me on as a guest, that's a different story, but my own one, no, it's not going to happen. I'll put up Instagram photos when I can, internet and time permitting. I'm going to be busy, but I will give off impressions as I can during the show, just some quick pictures with some initial thoughts of games, but a full review of stuff will come after the show, okay? It's just a lot easier for me. So take care, and remember, as always, it's only a game. Bye for now, and hope you enjoyed this episode. Bye for now.